Welcome back to Story Stash. I'm your host Duncan, and these are some of my stories I've written. Today, I'm reading from my book Star Guardian, and this is Chapter 2. So, let's get started. Chapter 22, Fourth Wave. Ship made it out past the nanobot probes and deployed a dozen cloaked dataport probes in roughly a grid pattern. As we were almost out of time, we turned right and moved a safe distance away from the area before cutting our engines. We were out in the open, but we were cloaked. It was a risk, but I was fairly confident that the foe vessels could not detect our presence. Also, the foe vessels were likely to arrive and proceed towards Baglaji 4. If our plans went awry, we were out here behind the enemy and could come in and catch them from behind. Ship assured us everything was ready. Within a few hours, Ship alerted us to the arrival of 3 foe vessels, just as before. Wave 4 was here, and it was time to see if the new dataport probes could be successful. Kaluna, we will try and capture them alive, but we may have to fall back on the nanobots. You can remain here to watch, or we can let you know when it's over, said Jem. I'll stay this time, replied Kaluna. We sat and watched the tactical display as the 3 dots moved towards Baglaji 4. Attention! A communication was sent to foe vessels. Lead vessel has responded affirmative, said Ship. Just like before, they continued on course. They did not have their shields up, nor were they looking back in our direction. They were on course to rendezvous with the other foe vessels. While cloaked, the probes did not send out any signals that could give away their positions, but Ship knew where they were and could predict where they could go. As the vessels passed by, the closest 3 dataport probes quietly drifted in and attached themselves to the vessels. We waited for what seemed like ages for a sign that our plan had worked or not. Then the 3 vessels shut down their engines. Fortunately for them, it was before they reached the nanobot probes. Attention! Communications from the dataport probes report that all 3 vessels are now under our control. The crews have been informed that any attempt to restore control will lead to termination of life support, said Ship. Ship, you may have to convince them you are serious, I said. The good part is that the vessels are still functional, said Jem. And we have complete remote control, using the dataport probes as a proxy. It seems ironic, since that was what they did to the Baglaji in the past, I said. It seems fitting. Ship, please power up their engines and move them to the far side of Baglaji 4, said Jem. Confirmed, said Ship. The 3 dots on the display moved again on their way out of sight. Ship, the crews will be okay? asked Kaluna. Confirmed. Full life support is operating. If they do not attempt to restore control, they will survive. Ship, find some footage of one of the previous waves, especially the explosive decompression part. Send it to the 3 vessels and put it up on their display. For their survival, we need to make sure they are convinced that we are serious, I said. Confirmed, said Ship. Kaluna nodded at me. We have done all I can think of to not kill the crews. If they do something stupid to bring about their own deaths, that is their own fault, I said. Ship deployed some additional dataport probes, and then we followed the 3 vessels on a course to the far side of Baglaji 4. The vessels had become prisoner transport. I was thinking, I said, if the foe had sent all 12 vessels at once, we would not have been able to survive their attack. Their strategy is flawed. It could have worked, replied Jem, but your defense was superior. If a single vessel had got past the nanobots, we would not be here now, I said. It nearly happened on the second wave of foe vessels. Your quick thinking got the probe to distract them and lure them back into the nanobot. Yes, that was scary. I was lucky there was a probe working on the derelict vessels, I said. We have been very lucky so far. I was also thinking, said Kaluna. Yes? Asked Jem. Brian was numbering days like Wave 1 arrived on day 4. We sent the message to the foe system on day 8. Now it is day 10, correct? Asked Kaluna. That is correct, I said. So I was thinking we could define a new calendar system. We should call it the New Baglaji Calendar, or NBC. It represents that this is once again Baglaji territory. I guess 1 year is a full rotation of Baglaji 4 around the star, and we need to work out how many months in a year. So we are day 10, month 1 of year 1, NBC. What do you think? Said Kaluna. I like it, smiled Jem. Ship, please work out the months and create this new calendar. Update displays to show the date according to NBC. Confirmed, said Ship. So, on a different topic, the probe we launched on day 6 should arrive in the foe system today. Depending on how long it needs to gather data, it should return in another few days, I said. Then we will know more about the foe, said Jem. Have you thought more about what you plan to do then? Are you intending to go there? Asked Kaluna. I don't know yet, said Jem. From a logistical point of view, an invasion is beyond our capability. It is taking all our creativity and effort to hold on to this system, I said. I understand that now. At first I was upset and angry about what the foe did to my people. I wanted to make them pay. But we don't have enough resources. And as Kaluna has said, we would be as bad as they were. Jem admitted. I was surprised. Jem, you told us how the Baglaji were a race of peacekeepers. I feel like we rushed into a situation where we are not headed for peace. What would your ancestors or your parents want you to do? As your new family, I really don't want to go to war. If we were rescuing beings or even dealing with pirates, I am okay with that, Kaluna said. Captain, could we hold off on any discussions about going to the foe system until the probe returns with some intel? It should be in a few days. We can focus on defending this system until then, I said. Agreed, Jem replied. Just then, Ship interrupted. Attention, the crew aboard a vessel tried to restore control and would not respond to warnings. Explosive decompression has resulted in the termination of the crew. Crap, and this was unavoidable, Ship? I asked. Confirmed. They would not respond to warnings. If their attempt had been successful, their vessel could have destroyed us, Ship replied. I suppose we still had their vessel intact. Ship continued to monitor the other 2 crews carefully, said Jem. We looked at the tactical display for a few minutes. What is our exit strategy? I asked Jem. What do you mean? Jem responded. If the probe returns with intel that makes it clear we cannot or should not go to the foe system, then what do we do? Do you intend for us to remain in this system forever, or until the foe arrive in even larger numbers and finally destroy us? I asked. Do you have a suggestion? Jem asked me. Captain, we could complete the automated defenses and then leave. We could go elsewhere and live a happy life doing peacekeeping missions. If another Baglaji vessel arrives here, the automated system could update them on what's happened. It is unclear if there are any more remaining, though, I said. I will wait until the probe returns before we decide on our next steps. As I already agreed, said Jem. Our meeting broke up, and I went looking for somewhere to be alone. The tea inside of me demanded time to think without sharing all my thoughts. The defenses for the system were no longer requiring my attention, and my thoughts had turned toward an exit plan. I did not sign on for a war. I was not happy with genocide, although I was less sensitive to killing than Kaluna was. If the foe sent vessels intent on my destruction, I would calmly defend myself. If I could get Jem to be satisfied with taking back this system, we could leave and go somewhere less dangerous. If the foe wanted this system so much, I would be glad to let them have it. I would not bother to remove our defenses, though. On my wish list was to go back and pay a visit to the trading post. I suspected someone there was connected to the pirates who destroyed the Apolluna. If I could identify who it was, they had a painful death awaiting them. But if Jem was determined to stay here, it was a different matter. I owed her a life debt for rescuing Kaluna and me. We signed up as crew, but that was for a different mission. Soon I might have to make a hard decision, but I would defer that until the probe returned with intel on the foe system. I had another idea. Ship, please could you create and deploy a probe with maintenance bots to the vessel that the crew tried to restore control of? I'd like to get it repaired. Also, can you replace the main computer with a Baglaji one? I want to turn this into a new Baglaji vessel, I said. Confirmed. I will task the manufacturing facility with creation of a new Baglaji main computer and other necessary components. Once the vessel is repaired, it will travel to the planetoid to complete the refit, Ship replied. What other necessary components? I asked. The life support, environment, and food dispensers will be replaced. Cloaking and advanced shielding will be installed. Also, as the officer commissioning the refit, you get to select a designation for the new Baglaji vessel. Ship, that is an interesting tradition. I select the designation Molly, I said. Confirmed. Probe launch in 2 hours. Directions sent to the manufacturing facility, said Ship. After some time alone, I returned to the main bridge. Jem was there, looking over the tactical display. I grabbed 2 beverages from the food dispenser and sat down with her. How are you? I asked, handing her a mug. Thanks, I am good, Brian. And you? I was thinking, if the message we sent to the foe system should arrive in 2 more days, we can expect 2 more waves, even if they stop sending vessels, I said. I figured something like that too. Ship tells me the protocols for the probes are self-improving. Each wave provides learning opportunities where they update to become better for the next. When we gave Ship permission to improve, it got passed on to the probes, said Jem. That is a nice and unexpected side effect. Soon we may afford the risk to challenge arriving vessels before we capture them. Perhaps we can convince them to leave without further conflict, I said. And if we can capture vessels without killing the crews or damaging the vessels, it could be possible to return our prisoners. We could direct their computers to fly back to their home system, said Jem. Yes, and the dataport probe could detach just before the vessel enters hyperspace. The foe would still be guessing how we did it, I said. Ship, do you know if the foe crew can tell how we took control of their vessels? Asked Jem. Confirmed. All displays were shut down. All internal communication logs were disabled. There should be no trace for them to tell. Only speculation, Ship replied. Ship, add a new protocol for the dataport probe. Direct main computer to navigate out of the system and return the vessel back to the home system. The probe is to detach just before the vessel enters hyperspace. The main computer is to keep all systems locked out until the vessel returns to the foe system. Please designate this as the Return Home Protocol, said Jem. The usual console lights flickered briefly. Confirmed. Protocol update sent to all dataport probes, said Ship. What do you think, Brian? If we show mercy and return those 2 vessels, would we regret it later? Asked Jem, smiling. We could not see them back here for at least 8 days, and we could be more prepared for their return. We never let them see us, so they do not know our strength or weakness, I replied. Okay, ship, please initiate return home protocol on the 2 vessels with crews. Send them back to where they came from, ordered Jem. Kaluna will like that, I said. We both smiled. We sat and sipped our beverages as we watched the tactical display. 2 docks came around Baglaji 4 and moved out of the system. Just before the vessels disappeared from the tactical display, 2 smaller dots separated and moved back to join a now extensive network of dataport probes. Well, that concludes Chapter 22. And next episode we'll have Chapter 23, 5th and 6th. So, until next episode, see you then. Bye.